Most people run from crocodiles, but Ambo, he jumped into the water and wrestled one with his bare hands. He wasn't brave. He wasn't trying to be a hero. He was just a fisherman, tired, broke, trying to feed a newborn son. But what started that morning became a relationship no one in his village could explain, one that lasted over 20 years. This isn't a story about a wild animal. It's about what happens when one small act of kindness refuses to be forgotten. Ambo lived on the Benton Islands, a quiet stretch of land where the river bled into the sea and the air always tasted like salt. Every morning before the sun broke, he'd drag his old wooden boat to the water, slip through the narrow channel, and fish until his arms burned. He didn't fish for sport. He fished because if he didn't, his family didn't eat. His wife had just given birth to their son Kai, a tiny boy with loud lungs and an appetite that never quit. Ambo would look at Kai sleeping in his crib and whisper the same thing every night. "You won't live like me. I'll make sure of it." He wanted Kai to have school, books, a life that didn't smell like bait and diesel fuel. But the seas were changing. Massive shipping boats had started cutting through the channel, bringing commerce, yes, but also garbage. Plastic bags floated where fish once swam. Oil slicks caught the light where the water used to run clear. Still, Ambo kept going. Fishing was the only language he spoke fluently. Most mornings, the rhythm of the waves gave him peace. But one morning, the water took that peace away. It was just past dawn. Ambo was alone, lines cast, watching the sky turn orange. Then, whip! One of his rods snapped sideways and launched into the water. He leaned over the edge, thought maybe a big catfish had taken the bait. But then a shadow passed beneath the boat, long, jagged, moving with purpose. Before he could pull back, splash! A green body erupted from the surface. Teeth, scales, wild, panicked eyes. A young crocodile, maybe 3 feet long. Thrashing violently, head shaking side to side. Ambo's blood went cold. But then he saw it. A plastic bag, thick, tangled, was wrapped tightly around the animal's snout. Every breath was a fight. Every second brought her closer to drowning. He didn't weigh the options, didn't calculate the risk. He jumped in. The water swallowed him. The crocodile bucked, twisted, dragged him under once, then twice. But Ambo was strong. 20 years of hauling nets had built arms like rope. He grabbed the plastic with both hands and pulled. 1 yank. Nothing. 2 yanks. It slipped. 3rd time, it tore free. The crocodile went still, just for a moment. Her eyes locked onto his, unblinking, ancient, almost confused. Then she turned and disappeared into the dark water without a sound. Ambo climbed back into the boat, shaking, bleeding from a scratch on his forearm. He sat there for a long time, wringing out his shirt, heart hammering against his ribs. He didn't tell anyone when he got home. What would he even say? "I saved a crocodile today. She looked at me before she left." He let it go, but she didn't. 3 months later, Ambo was heading home down the river, boat heavy with fish, mind somewhere else. Then he heard it, a soft, rhythmic splash behind him. He turned. The same crocodile, bigger now, maybe 4 feet, swimming alongside his boat like she'd been waiting for him. His hands tightened on the oars. Every instinct told him to move faster, but she wasn't lunging, wasn't circling. She was just there, swimming beside him, calm, steady, almost gentle. He reached into his catch, pulled out a small fish, and tossed it toward her. She snapped it up, then kept swimming next to him, all the way to shore. When he docked, his wife was already on the bank hanging laundry. She looked past him, froze, and screamed, "Ambo! Behind you! Crocodile!" He turned back, looked at the animal floating calmly in the shallows, and, to his own surprise, laughed. "It's all right," he said quietly. "She's with me." His wife thought he'd lost his mind. The neighbors thought worse. Old Tomas, who lived 3 houses down, came with a machete that evening and said they should kill it before it took a child. Ambo stood between Tomas and the riverbank and said, "She hasn't hurt anyone. She won't." Tomas left, muttering, but he kept watching. The whole village kept watching. Ambo named her Risa, after his mother, who had died the year before, a woman who also trusted too easily and loved without conditions. Over the next few years, Risa became part of the rhythm of Ambo's life. She'd appear every few weeks, swimming up the river as if she kept a calendar no one else could read. She'd eat whatever he offered, fish mostly, sometimes chicken on holidays, which made Kai laugh every time. Kai grew up beside her. By age 6, he'd toss her scraps from the dock while Ambo watched, arms crossed, smiling in a way his wife said she'd never seen before. But not everyone smiled. When Kai was 8, a local official visited the village and told Ambo the crocodile had to go. "It's a public danger," the man said, not looking at Risa, not looking at Ambo, just scribbling on a clipboard. Ambo pleaded. The neighbors, the same ones who had once feared Risa, stood behind him. Even old Tomas, who had come with a machete years ago, spoke up. "The animal hasn't touched anyone," he said. "Leave them be." The official left. Risa stayed. Then came the hard year. Risa disappeared. Not for weeks, for months. 4 months. 5. Ambo searched the river every morning. He'd motor upstream, downstream, calling her name like he was looking for a lost dog, except no one laughs when a grown man calls for a crocodile in the fog at 5 a.m. His wife finally sat him down. "Maybe she's gone, Ambo. Maybe that's how wild things work." He nodded, but he kept searching. On month 6, just when he'd started to accept it, he came home from a trip and his wife met him at the door, eyes wide. "She's back!" He ran to the river. And there she was. Only she wasn't small anymore. Risa stretched nearly 17 feet, longer than his boat, heavier than anything he'd ever pulled from the sea. She had scars now, a gash along her left side, half healed. She'd been in a fight somewhere out there in the wild. But the moment she saw Ambo, she drifted toward him slowly. No teeth, no thrashing, just stillness. He sat on the bank and stayed with her until the sun went down. He didn't speak. He didn't need to. She remembered. That was enough. Over the next 2 decades, Risa kept returning. Ambo kept feeding her. When she came back injured, which happened twice more, he called a veterinarian who was too terrified to get close, but guided Ambo by phone, talking him through wound care while Risa lay still in the shallows as if she understood. No textbook explained it. No biologist could fully account for it, but it was real. And it changed more than just Ambo. Kai, now a teenager, started spending his weekends walking the riverbanks with a bag, pulling plastic from the mud. The same kind of plastic that had nearly killed Risa before he was born. He didn't talk about it much. He just did it. Week after week. Quietly. The way his father had taught him everything, not with speeches, but with actions. When Ambo jumped into that water all those years ago, he didn't expect anything in return. He didn't want fame. He didn't want a story. He saw something suffering, and he moved. That's it. That's the whole secret. And for that one instinct, that one unreasonable, reckless, beautiful decision, he gained something most people spend their whole lives searching for. A bond that made no sense, and meant everything. Because the wildest stories aren't the ones we invent. They're the ones we live, one quiet, stubborn act of kindness at a time. If this story stayed with you, even for a second, do one small thing today. Pick up a piece of trash, feed a stray, help someone without calculating what you'll get back. You never know what might come swimming back into your life. Subscribe and ring the bell for more stories like this. Because at the Inspired Inkwell, we don't just tell stories, we find the ones worth remembering.